live on VGBS Gaming Podcast. It's in the live section on the cast, and what we're going to do is we're going to BS a little bit about content creation, as well as if anybody has any specific questions on anything we do. We're going to introduce ourselves. We can go over it. The panel says NES Games you probably haven't heard of. That is the theme of my new book. But I figured since I have all these other content creators that are around, there's a lot of authors here, I figured we could kind of go back and forth on some of our experiences and what we've done and maybe some of the cool successes and some of the struggles we've had. It'll be a pretty cool little cross panel. However, every time I do a panel, I like audience participation too, so if you have any stories, feel free to raise your hand. We have a microphone here, you can come and talk, so that way we all can share in all of our stories. That's half of my books are like that. So I'm Jeffrey Wittenhagen. I'm an author. I have 8 books now published because my current book's with the printing company. The Nintendo Compendium is being printed currently. So my newest book is NES Oddities, which is here on the table, and The Homebrew Revolution. It's a 500-page book. It covers anything that's not licensed, which includes unlicensed, PAL exclusives, Famicom games that don't require reading Japanese to enjoy. All of them. I played every Famicom game to find those. It was insane. All the Versus arcade games and Play Choice 10 arcade games. And I went through and comprehensively covered all the NES homebrew games. I thought there was about 100. There's over 580 in my book. And I had to split it up by sections on how people publish. So like the Sydney Hunter game for the ColecoVision that's here at this convention, that's a CIB game. Not all brand new homebrew games come out. Like the Rainbow Bright game right now, that's just a demo. It's just a digital only game. So there's certain games that never come out on cartridge, so I categorize things like that. And then I put where you can find the digital ones to download for free and play. And my books are kind of collector based, where you have the check boxes to track what you're collecting. However, with Famicom and homebrews and some of that stuff, it's also cool to use it with like a Raspberry Pi or an EverDrive, where you can play all the games and you can literally categorize your cards based on that. So there's multiple uses for the books that I'm doing, and I keep it very minimalistic when I write. So I write it very short, to the point, and I try to keep it as an easy read, a casual read for a coffee table. That's kind of what I was going for, and it's something that I want, because I don't want to do everything that everybody else is doing. I want to do what I'm doing. The other series that I do is compendiums of personal stories of people in the community. So my Super Nintendo Compendium, my Nintendo Compendium, and then my Culture Chronicles, which I have 91 here at the convention, is more of a personal take. So it'll be like, alright, so we played Super Mario Brothers, but when I played Super Mario Brothers, I kept falling down pit A, and I kept dying, or something like that, where it just tells about it. Or when I used to rent games at the rental stores, when those were a huge thing, and that was the only way we could get new games. And people in the community also write in that. So people that back me on crowdfunding also get the opportunity to write in the books and get published right along with me, going to the Library of Congress with the books, everything. So it's a really cool aspect, and I feel like that, to me, that series is a telling of history in the eyes of the people who lived it, which I think is a really cool aspect. So that's me in a nutshell. I also have a podcast where we BS about video games. Pretty fun, and we just had a homebrew game associated with it that I just completely am sending out to the backers, and you play it in a Nintendo Entertainment System. It's a homebrew game. It's not in this book because I actually created it after I published the book. It's craziness. So it's VGBS Season 1, and you literally play and you watch the different episodes. Like every episode has a synopsis on the cartridge, and then it comes with a USB thumb drive you can listen to it. So it's a really cool way to basically have people be able to support the podcast without having to just like donate money. You get something tangible for your collection, which I thought was a cool aspect. So that's enough about me. We got to go over to the Coleco master himself. Go ahead and introduce yourself now.
Sure. So thanks for this great introduction.
Yeah.
So my name is Antoine. I'm French, living in Canada now. I wrote the Coleco, the official book that is available on the Coleco table over there. It was a great experience. I wrote I had to research all about the company that started in 1932, and this is something I really love to do. And contrary to Jeffrey, I'm more of a history guy, and I really love like telling the history of the company. It's nothing personal, so it's more like the objective story of the company and going back to when it was founded and coming to their video game years and also their era, their legacy, the legacy left for gamers, and so why we have now new games coming for a console that was released in 1932. So it's pretty amazing. I had a lot of fun writing it, and I've been writing books on video games now for 3 years. I wrote or co-wrote 4 books in French, and so this is my 5th one, and I have another one coming, but it's not announced yet, so I can't talk about it because my publisher can't. So that's pretty much for me. I'm working on new projects as well. I'm also exploring new areas. So yeah.
So that was kind of what I was talking about too, is that you have people that focus on a different dichotomy of gaming, which is awesome. And it's like, I like that everybody has their own passion and their own niche and what drives you. If anybody buys one of his books, make sure you get it signed by this Joker.
Oh yeah.
Tim needs to sit up here too, you jerk. Because we're just talking content creation, Tim. You might know a little bit about that. You might heckle, please heckle. So yeah, basically though, I like that you have your own aspect, I got my own aspect, he has his own aspect. And speaking of he, who are you and what do you do for this?
What's up, guys? My name is Patrick Hickey Jr. I'm the editor-in-chief of ReviewFix.com. I'm also a former editor at NBC and a former national video games writer at Examiner, the late Examiner.com.
Is it late now?
They're dead.
Oh, I was the Miami Examiner back in the day.
They've been dead for a year now. So
wow.
But my upcoming book, The Minds Behind the Games.
Oh yeah.
We'll do a cheap little plug right there. There you go. Thank you very much.
Man.
It's a little bit different from both of their books in the fact that it's interviews with with over 50 developers on 36 games ranging from the Atari 2600 to today. So if you're a 30-something or early 40-something and you grew up with the Atari, the NES, the Super Nintendo, all of those games are featured, and it's not like classic games. There are some bad games in there. There are some cold games in there. There are a lot of indie games in there. So it's interviews with the people that made the game. So before we show the cover, there are probably those people's faces you don't know, and it's because if I ask you right now, who makes Pokemon? He knows it's Nintendo, but he doesn't know the guy that made it, right? So that's a big problem for me in the video game industry. Being a classically trained journalist, I'm also the assistant director of the journalism program at Kingsborough Community College in Brooklyn. I've written about video games for 12 years, and it's people will go, Grand Theft Auto, Rockstar. But do you know the guy who actually made the game? The guy who had that light bulb moment.
Oh, so that's cool. So you're actually giving credit to the people and bringing more light on the people that are doing it, which is, see, then that's another aspect. It's there's so many awesome people that are doing initiatives, and it's kind of why I wanted to change the focus of the panel away from just NES to content creation and how we're going about things, because literally everybody's going about things their own way, and it's all working pretty well. It'll be interesting to see the meaning of the mind.
Sure.
So to quantify, like you guys said, how long you've been writing. I've been writing for over 20 years on video games, and I literally started websites back in the day when I was in college, and that just showed my age, 20 years ago. But I've been writing forever. I was the Miami Examiner back 10, 12 years ago, I think. Yeah. I ran VGMastersClub.com back in the day, and that site had over 1 million hits a day because I wrote code for emulation in the browser you didn't have to download.
You know how you know you've been working in the industry for a long time? How many sites did you write for that don't exist anymore?
So I wrote for Retro Gaming Times Monthly, which now is having their 15th anniversary. They're asking me to come back and write an article for them. I was the pixelated age. Is what I was. I used to write about cool games on that. So I've been ingrained in doing this for a long time, and only recently did fire hit to the point where people found out about the books I was doing. So back in 2009, I wrote my first book was because VG Masters Club was going away. And what I wanted to do is I was like, all right, so all these articles kind of disappeared. I was able to salvage them, but now they're not available anymore. And the archive.org didn't really exist too well. It still doesn't. If you look at my site, all the articles aren't there. So I was like, well, let me compile all these. I always wrote about hidden gaming gems. I'm going to write a hidden gaming gems book in 2009. I went with a publisher in Europe, and they were called Pixel Nation. Have you heard of that company? No? They're out in Europe, Pixel Nation, and basically they're like, yeah, we'll publish your book, get it out there. We're going to change the name of the cover to Hidden Treasures. And I'm like, but it doesn't say games. Well, Hidden Gaming Gems doesn't have a good ring to it. This was before Metal Jesus started doing his Hidden Gaming Gems videos. And I'm like, but Hidden Gaming, it's about the Hidden Gaming Gems. I could literally have somebody write the Sonic Chaos Emeralds as gems. It would be awesome. They're like, no. Hidden Treasures would be much better. So basically,
like a pirate book.
Exactly. Like, so if you look up Hidden Treasures on Amazon right now, it's there. Like, some people have found it from the magic of the internet. But like, so like, that's one of the things that was frustrating me in my first experience with a publisher. So basically, they folded right as they published my book. And they wrote this Pixel Nation magazine. One of my buddies, he's Mike Tendo, Mike Levy, who's on YouTube, also wrote for Pixel Nation magazine. They even misspelled my last name in the first issue. It was awesome. Like, but it was just one of those things. But like, I was like, I didn't know anything better. I was just wanting my name out there. I was like, this is a way somebody's willing to give me a shot. You think about it in old Hollywood style or publishing style. It's like, oh, you're gonna give me a shot. I'm gonna jump on that. And heck yeah. And so then after that, I'm like, all right, so my next book I want to do is an NES collector's guide because I hate using apps to look up my collection because I have thousands and thousands of games. So I'm flipping through my phone. I'm like, I want a pocket guide that can carry around with me to conventions so I can not get the same manual of Contra 17 times. Because I keep forgetting that I have the manual. Like, it's like, yeah. So my idea was to have a pocket guide. And I was like, oh, I'm going to take it to, I'm probably just going to publish it self-publishing or whatever and all that. And then through the magic of Walter Day of Twin Galaxies, I had an opportunity through a trading card event to meet Joe Simcoe, who does the art for Garbage Pail Kids. And I didn't know that at the time. I just saw his art, and he did this whole Sweet Rot book series where he does these cool, gross-looking things. It's a book series. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. Have you ever done NES art? Would you like to do, like, I'm looking for a cover artist. That'd be amazing. I didn't know, and he agreed. And I didn't know that he did Garbage Pail Kids until after he already agreed. And I go home, and they're like, you know that he does Garbage Pail Kids. I'm like,
it's like winning the lotto and not even knowing. Yeah.
So having a long drive home, I'm thinking, all right, so now where do I take this? Because, you know, they say don't judge a book by its cover, but everybody judges a book by its cover. They do. And it's one of those cool aspects. So I was like, I heard of rumblings about a thing called Kickstarter. So Kickstarter was the thing. I was like, well, let me take it to Kickstarter. I saw that the Mighty Number 9 and those were really popular, so I mirrored mine, the style, off of that. So that's one of the things. When you're creating content, you need to see what's successful and kind of mirror your own style after. So if you look at my first Kickstarter, you'll see the same banner headings that other $1 million Kickstarters use, but it's my own logos, my own stuff. And I was like, well, if it's working for them, so I just started utilizing what made theirs successful, and then I had a guy who like basically looks at this stuff for a living, and he's like evaluates Kickstarter to see how well they'll do. And they're like, oh, this looks like you're gonna have a multi-million-dollar Kickstarter. I'm like, well, that's great. I don't know if I'll be able to handle that, but okay. So the interesting aspect was I still was going to self-publish. I didn't know anything about, like, I didn't want to go through that publishing headache again because I don't want my vision limited by anything. I don't want to have to, strong bad.
Oh, okay, I guess you're here now.
I love hacking.
You're not wondering who I was. I could have just left, but I guess this is what I'm doing with my time now.
Exactly. All right, so basically, though, I was still going to self-publish, right? And stop that. But I was still going to self-publish because I didn't know anything about publishing. I didn't want to have anybody limit what I was doing. So I'm like, if I self-publish, I can still get my vision out there how I want it. And as I was doing that, I was going through Kickstarter. You get contacted if you ever run a Kickstarter. you get contacted by thousands of people. Everybody's gonna market your Kickstarter, do all this stuff. Well, this one guy hits me up and he's like, oh, I run a book printing company. We can get your book printed out there. And it was a local, I think they're out here in New Jersey, a local company. I don't want to name them out because I have a little heat with them because they have limited options. It's my first couple books were printed with them, and they're limited in options. They'll tell me it's glossy when it's not and stuff like that, but they were willing to give me a shot again and do it. So I was taking the shot on...
and it wasn't limiting your...
And it wasn't limiting my vision, because the thing is that when you're doing content based on video games where there's all these trademarks and licenses, you have to be very careful with what you're doing. And fair use is a thing, but there's no definitive black and white guidelines on it. So luckily with my full-time career, because I do this all as a hobby, this is all a passionate hobby of mine, with my full-time career, I have access to lawyers, so I just had them have a quick look at it and say, hey, am I going to get a cease and desist from Nintendo doing my book? And they're like, all right, so you had an artist completely redraw your art, he redid everything, and what is the content? And I go, oh, I'm writing about each game. They're like, all right, so as long as you're not just marketing their trademarks and selling their trademarks to make a profit, you're good. As long as you're quantifying it with information and doing your own versions, taking your own pictures of cartridges or get authorization from others, then you can do it. So that's what I was going for with that, and they're not going to limit me. So that company was fine. Other companies, you just go contact them, and they don't know. They'll just say no.
Yeah.
They definitely will. Because they're not going to research because they don't have time for that. They're looking to do a business. So the thing is that there's a guy sitting over there, Tim, who might have a super popular Atari book that might dwarf all of us, but I reached out to him and he actually got me in contact with the name. I took that name, ran with it. Now the quality is way better. And I'm still self-publishing, but I've now gotten to the point where I had to incorporate with an LLC. So my idea is that the LLC is Hagen's Alley Books is not it's a book publishing company now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to help out everybody who's making content get their stuff out there in their own vision further as far as possible, because as I go up in quantity, my wife won't let me keep them in the garage anymore. Because that's what I did. First books, they go in the garage, I ship them all out to backers by hand, get it all out there. But now I'm to the point where I have to print so many, and I can print so many with all the people that have supported me, and I thank every single person that supported me on Kickstarter, because it's amazing. They're literally, Kickstarter is to say you have faith in what that person is doing. You want to see their item come to fruition. You want to see their idea come to fruition. Some people just donate cash. I make it all, you can buy the book. You can buy the book, you can buy something. I always put a bunch of crazy stuff. So leather-bound tomes that'll get rebounded in 1800s bindery and high-quality leather. I have that. And it costs a lot of money, and I put however much it costs. So any item that's not my book on my Kickstarters is exactly what that person charges. Because my book is the idea. I'm not going to upcharge anything, but that's my own margins, my own idea. That's my personal thing that I do. Other people might upcharge. I'll never do that because, like, say you have your book, you charge $20 for your book. If I associate with mine, it'll be $20 because that's yours. That's your thing. And that's how I want to do this publishing company. It's going to be a different aspect, a different weird way to do it. But if you already have everything done, you want to just have your book stored in the U.S. so you don't have to pay Canadian shipping to come to the U.S., like I have a warehouse now that I have to utilize, and I can get you I haven't done contracts for everyone, but we'll have some kind of agreement to where it's like, all right, you just got to pay your fees. And then it gets you out there. It gets my name out there as the publishing company. It gets everybody out there. It's a good marketing thing. Like, I'm doing this as a passionate hobby. So that's the thing that I want to focus on is, like, what were your own personal limitations now? Because I went through a quick history of Hagen's Alley, and I'm going to have an expansive article that I'm writing about the evolution. Because now with this new book, the quality margin, in my opinion, is starting, I'm raising the bar on myself. So I'm going to try to maybe do a definitive edition of my sold-out Super Nintendo book. The Super Nintendo book's been sold out for 8 months. I think I'm going to do a definitive edition, add Super Famicom, like the Famicom in this book, add Super Famicom into it. It's going to be well over 630 pages now. Right now it's 500. there's a lot of Super Famicom that are in. I already researched it. I'm already starting. I'm live streaming the games on YouTube as I play them because I gotta play them anyways. I play everything. Figured we go. What's up, Strong Bad?
What YouTube channel?
What YouTube channel? So it's Hagen's Alley on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's all linked off of my website as well. I have business cards on my table. I have them in my pocket.
Right now you're playing a bunch of Super Nintendo games that no one's ever heard of?
Super Famicom games.
Super Famicom games!
That don't require
That no one's ever heard of.
and that you don't have to know or read Japanese to enjoy. So that's the key. So when I play or I go buy Super Famicom and Famicom, and I think I saw Carlson here selling his Famicom stuff. Like basically, if you go over there and pick up some cheap Famicom games, half of them could potentially be RPGs. So you can't get a full gaming experience out of them. So in my book right here, the Famicom ones, every single one's handpicked where you can enjoy without actually having to read Japanese. Now there are fan translations, and that's another immersive aspect that's awesome. But these are literally for the collector. You can take my book, and I did it last week. The guy at Famicom, and I picked up some Ninja-kun games for a couple, like $5 a piece, and it was literally out of my book, and it was awesome. I was like, yes, these are 2 games I don't have. Boom. These are, and I know I'm gonna be able to enjoy them. And then I have a quick synopsis. So even if I'm on the fly looking, oh, what is this game? What did I enjoy? Oh, 3 sentences, done. Like it's streamlined. Now, remember I mentioned I was gonna do a pocket guide for the Nintendo? Doesn't look like that'll fit in my pocket. Everybody backed the big one. I did the color one just to have a coffee table version. Like a few people got the pocket guides, and a 500-page book's not going to fit in your pocket either. That's the other thing. My first book was just the license NES. It does. It works great. I had a limited version of the paperbacks, which I might do an expansive version later. But yeah, like seriously, this one that's what everybody wants. They want the cool thing to go with their collection, and I'm like, that kind of makes sense. I'm marketing a collector's book. And of course the collectors want to have something they can collect. And now, on the back of my card, I have all my books, so people can collect that. I'm OCD though, so that's where my stylus lies. So that's where you're going to have all the coolness. So now, I got off tangent. We always go off the river on VGBS, so it's normal.
No problem.
I want to hear yours. It's Strong Bad have a comment. He does.
So you know like all the weird NES games?
I do.
So where does my name come from?
Where does your game come from?
Which
one?
Where does the name Strong Bad come from?
Where does the name Strong Bad come from? I thought it came from HomestarRunner.net.
They took it from an NES game.
They did. The game called
Tag Team Wrestling for the Nintendo Entertainment System.
No, it was Tag Team, right?
Tag Team.
Yeah, because it wasn't pro wrestling with Strong Bad. It was Tag Team Wrestling.
The Ricky Fighters versus the Strong Bads.
Oh, yes. That's awesome. See, that's the historian aspect. See? Take notes if you do an NES book there. But no, that's the key, though, is that actually Tag Team Wrestling was released before pro wrestling. Ironically.
And yet you don't know the team's names.
Yeah, you got me. It's good, though. That's why I write minimalistically about the games. I write about my experiences in the genre and a little bit about my own experience with the game. For sure. Yeah, because I'm not a historian like some of the guys are. Like, one of the first historians, Leonard, he's going to be doing a talk later. He's really knowledgeable. You should ask him that question, see if he gets it later.
If he even recognizes who I am.
If he recognizes.
Probably will. This book is like this. He could probably kill you with it. So
I mean, I can almost bludgeon people with this
Phoenix 4, have you guys seen Phoenix 4? It's massive. Like,
he's been writing since the 90s.
Yeah.
It's 800 something pages.
So like, there's a chapter on like Ralph Baer and stuff like that. So from like the Odyssey on to now, like the guy's a genius. Like it's a great book.
Oh yeah.
It's literally like the textbook on video game development and video game.
Trying to get him to join us about content creation. He's like, I wouldn't know what to say. I'm like, yeah, you would.
He's like, I don't create content. Like you make like
he creates content. He's crazy. It's like Tim over there trying to sit in the back acting nonchalant. He knows. He has something to say. This is VGBS. We always BS. So go ahead. I want to hear your story now. Now I want to hear your story.
So I approached the game completely differently. You did a lot of research. I did too, but I didn't execute as well.
And personal experience is my research too. Like I live it. That's my thing. My book says through my living of it.
But also the thing you did well is like you took an already popular subject. Mm-hmm. Like Nintendo is popular and will always be popular. And for me, so writing a book on Coleco, it was a huge bet because there was nothing like this. because it's actually right now the only book in the company. So it's it's cool. It's cool, but as a pioneer, you also have like all the struggles or all the you need to you need to experiment with everything, and it's this is where I failed in a way because like I didn't market my Pixar the same way you did. I didn't I didn't get as much like coverage also with it. And because it's a very very niche project. Like
and the thing is, you only know what you know, though. So you didn't do anything wrong. It's just that we don't know. Exactly.
And the market was also not the same. Like
when did you go to Kickstarter?
2015. Late 2015.
Okay.
2015. And so it was a whole different game, and also like you, I had some difficulty with the printers. Like I had some books printed backwards. I had some books like I had the cover.
We were actually
off center.
We were talking about this morning. Like my cover was actually shifted on my whole first print run of the complete NES, and I told them they sent me a whole new version, and then I discounted it. So the other ones, I'm like, hey, I'm OCD. This bothers me. If it doesn't bother you, you can buy it.
But that's the same.
Yeah,
that's
but
the thing. Because you had the patience to do that. I didn't. So I just went on with it. And
Sounds better with the French accent too. He's like, I didn't.
No, I'm not. I'm impatient. So if the product is not okay, so I just I didn't want to make my backers wait. So I shipped them that, and I was lucky because they were happy with that, and maybe because also it was the only book available on the subject. So this is why also.
So are you ingrained in any Coleco communities, like forums?
Oh yeah. So on Atari Age, I post a little. Atari Age, I post a little. I'm also on the Facebook groups because this is the beauty of Facebook. You have groups for pretty much everything, and so you have group for Coleco, and people are very active on it, and it's crazy to see that some people are still making games.
So for Nintendo, I was lucky because Nintendo Age, I've been on there since 2009, and I was heavily involved. Yeah. So literally, I already had people that knew me on there as the guy who writes about games. So I kind of used that, and then, as I said earlier this morning, I got lucky. Like, literally got picked up by a bunch of websites when I did my NES book, because I was focusing on the art. There were no books at the time that had the box art screenshot with writing. Nobody did that. Like, Brett Wise had his was text-only based, and it covered multiple books. Yeah. I liked that, but I wanted to see, because who here has been fooled by the box art, where you get a box of a game, and then you play it, and you're like, oh, what is this? Like,
it doesn't happen with Pokemon. And every other game it happens.
The Mega Man box art is my favorite thing in the world.
Oh, Mega Man 2 with Mark.
They look nothing like the characters.
So the cool thing about that one is I met the artist at Portland, and he may write my Genesis cover. He might do my Genesis cover for me. That'd be amazing.
That would be awesome.
Be amazing. So I don't know though if I can afford him. We'll see, because everybody, when you're dealing with real artists, like you gotta pay them for their work.
Yeah, it's normal because usually they produce like great stuff. So.
Yeah. So this art right here is done by Philo Barnhart, who actually did the art for Dragon's Lair, Space Ace, Dragon's Lair 2, as well as he's a Disney artist who did The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, The Secret of Nim, which is not Disney, and he did The Black Cauldron for Disney, and a bunch of TV shows. So I met him at a convention last year, and we were doing shots of sake, and I just asked him if he'd do a cover. And he said absolutely. So I mean that's the cool thing though, is that we were chatting, and he has a manager publisher that he deals with. It's a comic book publisher, and I mean we're all hanging out, and they're really awesome, genuine guys. And they did the cover. Like, it was basically the same situation when I met Joe Simcoe for the Garbage Pail Kids. Like, literally, I want to do everything ground pound. Like, I want to meet people and be associated. So the fact when I'm doing the publishing thing, if I know you, like, we're gonna get everybody out there better. It's cooler that way. So continue. We're getting out the river.
Yeah, and this is also something we will be doing, because like you, I wanted to do my own publishing company, and I did, but I failed. And so I failed because I was on my own, and I wasn't ready to do everything on my own, because it's a lot of work, you know that. And sometimes it's easier to go with the publisher.
Yeah. It's much easier to go with the publisher most of the time.
But it has some limitations, so like you said. And I know both now, and also doing this made me realize that I don't have like all the skills required to do everything. So I know how to write, I think, and so for me I realized that it was better to focus on this than to focus on all the financial aspect and marketing and stuff.
So that was the one thing actually we had breakfast this morning. We were talking about it is that the difficult part is that when you were doing the publishing, you were living off that. That makes it stressful.
Exactly. Yeah.
Me, I work a full-time job. Well, this is all a passionate hobby that's going to be fun. So even when I retire from my main career, I may still do a job on top of it just to make sure, because I'll go and do my job and then I'll spend all night working on books or working on shipping or working on an aspect, and I do it every day. And it's after I hang out with my family, because I have a wife and a daughter too. And I do the family thing too. I make sure I do every aspect. But the key is that I enjoy it and I do it because it's fun. If you make it a job, you make it work, it no longer becomes that thing in my mind.
There are still some good parts, because when I was writing the book, I loved it. Like I love doing the research. I love speaking to people who work at Coleco. It was really great.
The historical aspect, you got to interview people. That's awesome.
But when I was confronted to the publishing aspect, to dealing with the printers, dealing with with people who were not happy with the books, like because it was printed backwards or it was the cover was
that's the
folded.
hard part for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For me, like dealing with those parts, like having to be confronted to those, it's not funny. So, and for me, it's something that you love doing should be funny. So, like it should be fun, not funny, but fun. Like you should enjoy it. And so this is why I will just focus on writing, because publishing is a whole different aspect. But I didn't know that back then. Now I know. At least I tried.
And knowing is half the battle.
Hmm?
And knowing is half the battle.
Oh yeah.
Yes, you got it.
And
so again.
So we'll just now focus on the writing and maybe like contribute to that.
And that's the cool thing, is that like that's why I wanted to do what I'm doing, because I'm OCD, but I'm also an extrovert. So I'll go and contact the printing company and go, hey, this is jacked up. Like, what's going on? The current printing company, like the one that Tim introduced me to, they're absolutely professional. Like, seriously, like you'll see the difference. Like, it's night and day when you're dealing with a real pro company to who I was previously dealing with. But I don't pull any punches with them. Like, you're paying for a service, like I'll go there and get it. So that's the things I'm going to offer, is like, depending on who you are, you may need to have different needs. And that's the thing, is the one thing that I didn't like about the publishing company aspect was that literally you would make 3 to 5% on every book that you sell, and it's like, I can't grow my business and my company and my books, and I can't do more books if I'm giving 95% of that to you to just market it. You're not doing any of the creation. You're not spending the hundreds of hours just formatting the book, and then the more hundreds and hundreds of hours of writing and the research and the hours. Like, you're not doing that. So my thing is that like with my business, I have a completely separate bank account that I use for a different bank that I use for that. It's all separate. So everything that I sell here at the convention or online all goes into the business. And then the business is to grow the business. And that's the hardest part of separation that people don't have.
And you didn't have that pressure that's you needed that to actually pay your rent.
Yeah, my books are to help Hagen's Alley, get bigger. And if they sell, great. If they don't, I'm still cool because people enjoy it. My thing is, I made the books because I knew I would like them. If one more person enjoys them, that's awesome to me. Because you got a cool nostalgic experience off of that book. And that's my thing. And if I can keep that fun through all my books, and I've done now 7 books in the last 2 years, published 500 pages, and I've probably done over 4,000, 5,000 pages published in the last 2 years. And if I can keep it fun, that's the best part. Yeah. And if you enjoy it or somebody else enjoys it, if it has Strong Bad in it doing his crazy, that's awesome.
Yeah,
seriously.
Otherwise we won't be doing it. Right?
Yeah, otherwise we wouldn't be doing it. Are you passionate about games? I'm passionate about games. You're passionate about games. We're putting forth the time. I want to make sure that it doesn't turn into something that I I regretted doing because now games aren't fun.
No, yeah, but I mean, even though I failed with the company, I don't regret once like doing it because it was an experience.
Absolutely.
I learned a lot of stuff, and I met great people like you and like that also. So if I had to do it again, I would change a lot of stuff, of course.
Of course. In hindsight.
Yeah.
In hindsight, it's 2020.
But,
and everybody can sit around an armchair quarterback and tell you how to better things. And that's the main thing. So if somebody critiques you, first of all, don't respond immediately. Never respond immediately.
Yeah, listen.
But just read it. Because there's some merit behind that. Somebody didn't enjoy something that you're doing. So what can I do to tweak something? Or can I modify it? Or what? Like, there's one guy that left me a land-based review. There's a Reddit article on how they hate my Super Nintendo books cover. There's a whole article on it.
Yeah, but
and that's still Joe Simcoe who does Garbage Pail Kids. Yeah. And they hate it. And it's just, he did his own version of a Super Nintendo man. It's on my banner. But the thing is that they're so passionate about Super Nintendo that it bothers them enough to write about it. They're still passionate about the Super Nintendo. There's something there. So I just read it, and you gotta take the personal feelings away because I did spend thousands of hours on the book. That's the hard part. But you gotta do it.
But you have also like the critiques when you share your project, your work in progress project with some other people, because this happened to me when I was writing my first book.
Yeah.
And so I sat there patiently and I listened to all the critics. So sometimes it was hard.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot, and this is thanks to those critics that I managed to improve myself and to improve my writing also.
It makes everything better.
If I didn't stay there, if I just responded and just said, well, who are you to tell me that? And it wouldn't have been the same.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like if you don't have haters, you're doing something wrong.
Exactly. That's how you know you get to that next level when you have critiques. And so a perfect example, I posted my 1990 Culture Chronicles cover, and one guy goes, "Looks like shit." That was his comment. And I'm like, so I responded, but I go, "Why?" And he goes, "Wait, what?" And so then he goes, "Oh, I can't read the text based on this." I'm like, "Oh, so if I do a white highlighter on it, you can read it. Is that better?" "Oh, that looks awesome now." Like, you didn't have to write looks like shit. You could have put, like, "Hey, I can't read the text on it," and I would have been able to improve it easily. But I had to literally pull that out of the person because it's much easier just to write garbage.
Well, we live in a troll nation.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's especially right now, in the time of the internet, the social networks.
It's so much easier to, be strong bed, than to, be yourself.
Exactly. We need to get over to here.
I was in a weird spot. I'm going to go more into this in my
Oh yeah,
panel next.
so he's going to have a panel too today, and
Next,
so will he.
right after this, just about my book. But I was in a weird spot because we're doing history. Yeah. So like how it came to be.
It's review your content.
Yeah. So
I'm messing with you.
No, it's
Come on.
okay. So it's like I run my own.
He's a troll.
Yeah, it's okay. It's alright. I run my own website for about 9 years, so it's like I'm used to trolls and stuff like that, and I've written for websites, so I'm used to that. Like somebody wished me cancer. I wrote a review of a Fallout New Vegas DLC, and on my birthday, my 23rd or 24th birthday, somebody was like, "Dude, this game is awesome. You should just die of cancer." And to me, I was like, "That's awesome."
It's like you get the whole guys that are drink bleach.
Have you guys ever seen the Howard Stern movie, Private Parts? Okay, so then they do the research and they say that the average Stern lover listens for half an hour, and when they ask why, it's because they want to hear what he says next. And then when they interview the average Stern hater listens for 2 hours, and when they ask why, they say, "Because I want to hear what he says next." You guys ever meet somebody that you loved the first second you met them, and then now you hate them, you can't even stand them, or the other way around, the first time you meet somebody. So it's like, as long as you can get a reaction out of somebody, you're doing something right. It's like professional wrestling. John Cena comes out, it's either they love him or they hate him. When somebody comes out and you hear crickets, that's when that person's doing something wrong. So I was in a bit of a different spot than them because I didn't want to do a book just on one thing. So I feel like, and this isn't a slight against either one of you, you guys are great, but I feel like
push-ups.
I feel like real gamers have no brand loyalty at all. I feel like they're super fickle. Like now I'm playing the Switch, but
Me too.
a month ago I was hardcore PS4 and like, but I still play all my retro stuff. So I wanted to write a book that kind of like encapsulated like my entire childhood, from like the Atari 2600 to today.
So just to defend myself,
Go ahead.
they put me as the Nintendo guy on the banners, but I'm doing the complete Sega Genesis Smash,
sure.
and then I'm doing a complete TurboGrafx 16.
Exactly.
I'm completing every system.
Yes.
But that's just because I'm OCD and insane though too, so got issues.
So
I have no brand loyalty,
No,
even
that's
though
awesome.
I do love my Nintendo. I have a
Yes.
tattoo, but exactly Mario.
I mean, if you guys put a gun to my head right now, I would totally tell you I was a Nintendo guy. Like I have a modded like Game Boy, black Game Boy, white silicone buttons, backlight.
Nice.
It's like my baby. I play Pokemon Red on it all the time. I love it. But it's like I'm fat. I like all you can eats. So that's how I game too. I game the same way that I eat, a little bit of everything. You know.
Do you?
Yes. So with all that experience in mind, and like running your own website is a really big help because people send me like my website reviewfix.com is like comic books, video games, music. It's like everything. So I remember when I was in graduate school, I was trying to get more funding for the website, and one of my professors is Jeff Jarvis. He's the founder of Entertainment Weekly, and he was like, "All right, bro." He's like, "I like that you have all of these different things, but a site that covers all of these different things isn't going to last." And this is like in 2010, and I was like, I'm telling you, in like 5 years, every site is going to cover like multiple things. So you're not just going to have a video. And he's like, no. Now IGN covers comic books. Now like GameSpot covers film. Like all these websites, they're in like this constant rush for traffic. They're constantly creating content in different ways. So I said to myself, if I'm going to write a book, I'm going to write a book that talks about as many different games and different. So that was just my way of like being a journalist played a role in it.
And you said a key word, traffic. So,
Yes.
so I'm gonna always go back to Kickstarter because it gets new eyes on it. There's something I was telling my wife who sells LuLaRoe clothing. I'm like, you need more feet to go by, more people to see it because your stuff, your book, it sells itself. More people just gotta see it.
It's like the
That's
best
what
restaurant,
I'm
the worst location. You know?
Exactly.
And it's hard too because like I remember when I was working at NBC, I would write. I remember April Fool's Day, like 2012. I wrote an article about how the original Star Wars script, the original Star Wars screenplay, was going to be made into a comic book. So I pitched it to my editor because I got a press release, and I called up Dark Horse like while I was Dark Horse Comics, while I was on the way to work. And I'm like, is this an April Fool's joke or is this like for real? They're like, no, it's for real. So as I'm walking to work, I do the interview with the writer, and I'm like writing it on my BlackBerry, and the article got like 3 million page views, which was great for the day. I was like the hero for the day. But then a couple of other websites just basically took quotes from mine, and then added a link, and some of those websites got more hits. So the thing is, that sucks. You know, you can't do that if you're writing a book. If you're writing a book, people can like take excerpts and things like that. But if you wrote the book, like you're the guy that's gonna like get the credit. So it's like I kind of like broke that Star Wars story, but I'm sure that like Hollywood Reporter or this place or that place got more traffic. But when you do that with a book, it's completely different. That's the reason why like I decided to write a book because I had written for websites for so long, and I was just sick and tired of like doing something really good and then having other people like take pieces of it and then make their own content and get more traffic when I was the one with the original idea. With a book, you can't do that. So
I do like the historical quantification when you make a book. It's tactile. It's there. You have it.
Yes.
It's stored forever.
Yes.
If somebody buys my book and has it, it's out there forever potentially. Like it's there. That's what I like about it, and that's why when people go, "Are you gonna do an app for that?" I'm like, "Well, I made my first book because I hate the app." Like it'd kind of be ironic to do an app on my book. Like I could. I could make the app. I have a degree in computer science. I could literally have the boxes and make the book in an app form and make it cool. You can check it out. There's apps that do that already though. So like I could have my name on it, it'd be cool, but like
there's something so, it's probably not the right word, but there's just like something so sexy about like having the book always, like you know that it's always there. I remember like Examiner went out of business like August 10th of last year, and I had like 3,000 articles there. Like I interviewed Daniel Bryan for there, Ultimate Warrior, a ton of
like a little bit of pro wrestling.
Yeah, a little bit. But a lot of really good video game developers too. And I'm like, I remember going to the site and they said that it was going to be down like August 10th or whatever. And then the next day, August 11th, I went there and I'm like, maybe it's still there, maybe. You know, and I went there and it was like access.com and I'm like, wow, all that stuff. So thank God I had it all saved and I like kind of ported it over to my site. But you can't do that with a book. You know, and I will say like, you guys had your experiences with publishers and like, you mentioned Brett Weiss before. Brett Weiss wrote the foreword to my book. He's like my Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like he's just an awesome guy, great historian. And like he helped me. He like nurtured me through like the publishing process, which I reviewed his 100 greatest console games, and then like 3 months later I decided to write a book, and then I'm like you in a way, like I have cojones, so I'm like I'll walk over to somebody, I'll say with them. You have to be that way. And
I like the fact that the community, like Tim gave me a contact.
Yeah.
Like we help each other out. That's what I want my publishing company to be, is I help everybody out. I don't necessarily have to make millions of dollars on doing a publishing company. I just want people to have more experiences out there. And you mentioned books, but as much as we're passionate for the tactileness of books, YouTube creators are as passionate about their content. But what we're both talking about here, because I want to justify it if somebody listens online, they'll troll us on that, is that literally that YouTube channel could get taken down for copyright, or could go away, or that channel, or YouTube could go away. Eventually, 20 years, 30 years, you don't know. So it could get bought out by another company that's bigger and gone. Yep. Whereas the book, and guess what? You already got one in your house. It ain't going away. It's there. Like, it's done. That's what I like about the tactileness of having something tangible. It's kind of why with my podcast, when we marketed it, I put it as a Nintendo cartridge that you can physically play in your Nintendo, because now you have something physical about VGBS. VGBS now is in the history books. It's always going to be that. And we're also the first that did this text-based gaming style cartridge too, which we set another little record. But I always like to do stuff that nobody's done. So I go off the river, by the way.
No, that's
continue.
I was kind of in the same spot. Like, I saw everyone else was doing all these great projects, and like they all have different types of writing styles. Like you and Brett have a similar writing style that like you guys like do a great job of being able to sum something up in like paragraph, you know. And I like to think that like I'm more of a.
More than Brett does too.
You do.
It's not, and the thing is, writing minimalistically, it's not easy.
It's not.
It is tough. So when I have people that wrote for my Super Nintendo book, I go, oh no, you're writing literally a full page here. I need it in this little text box. And guess what? It can't be under 12 font, because if you go under 12 font, it's hard to read. So I might go down to 11.5. But like literally, there's certain books that it's tiny text. Like it is a art to write minimalistically, and that's my style. That's my thing, and I'll be the one to do it. Whereas if you want to write verbose, that's your style. That's what people will expect.
So I wouldn't even say like I know you didn't say it was verbose, but like
Oh, I did.
You can't read it. I was verbose, but I enjoy writing feature style art books. So like my master's thesis, I wrote about like pro wrestling, and I wrote about like how somebody goes from like watching WWE on TV to like becoming a WWE performer. Like that whole from one to the other.
Story.
Yeah, basically. And like I went to Gleason's gym and I trained with those guys for like a week, and I got body slammed and this and that, and I almost died. I got a staph infection on my face because the mat was so filthy. But like that feature was
the dirty underwear.
Yeah, but that feature was probably like it was like 5,000 words. It was one of the things that I enjoyed the most about writing. Like being able to spend that much time. I interviewed all these wrestlers: Diamond Dallas Page, Harley Race, Loki, like all these cool guys that I like. And I'm like, if I did this on like the video game industry, this is like just right here. This is like your classic. I'm sorry, this is like your classic gamer right here. You know, and they don't know who made the games that they play. You know, so and I figured it would be great for me to. So I ended up just contacting all of these people via Facebook, Instagram, emails, deep Google searches, 8th, 9th page on Google, and I got in contact with all these people. And I had a wife that was 5 months pregnant, and I had a mom that still is fighting stage 4 lung cancer. All that stuff going on, and I just plowed through. I interviewed Howard Scott Warshaw at like 11:30 at night in my kitchen because I didn't want to wake up my pregnant wife.
And he is impossible to coordinate with.
Yeah, but he's great. He's a great guy.
He is awesome.
You know?
11:30 p.m. at night.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well,
He's impossible.
He's in California, so it was like probably 8:30 for him after he spent his day, listening to other people's problems. So he's a great guy. So, but that was my process. Just like I made a list of like 50 developers that I wanted to speak to. I got 37 of them to say yes. And then I got 36 to actually do it. The only person that said yes that I never got back in contact with was Alan McNeil. Does anyone know who Alan McNeil is? No? Wow. Berserk on the Atari 2600, the arcade game. It's a great game. People actually died playing it, like, competitively. So that was the only guy. Everybody else said yes. And there's stories, like, each one of those, there's stories. Like, I connected with all of these guys on Facebook. Like, I remember my wife was in labor, and I was talking to Mike Scupa. Does anyone know who Mike Scupa is? No? The developer of Bully. PS2, and he's like, everything okay? Like, did you get my answers? I'm like, yeah, but like my wife's actually like in labor right now. He's like, oh, good shit, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my God. And my wife's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm talking to Mike Scuba. She's like, who the fuck is Mike Scuba? And I'm like, so it was like, Mark Turmel from NBA Jam was like sending me pictures of his kids. He's like, this is what you're gonna go through in like a year from now. And I'm like, the fucking creator of NBA Jam is sending me pictures of like his kids playing.
You know what I'll say? It's like he's a human being.
Yes, but see, that's the thing. That's the reason why
I know. That's the best part.
Because we don't know that these people are human beings. You know,
it humanizes the whole community, which is awesome.
So in that process, like I found out that these creators are great people, and I met like again Brett and so many other video game writers. Like, and I reached out to so many other people, and the things that you didn't like to do, like the selling, I'll sell a lady in a white dress to catch a popsicle if I have to. You know, so like I contacted people like Huffington Post, Forbes, they all wrote about the book and stuff. I contact people like every day, like interview me, and they're like, who the fuck are you? I send them a press release, you know, so that's like...
So Hagen's Alley Books might be contacting somebody for outreach.
That's fine, you know, so...
And I don't know, that's the one thing is that there is never, ever enough time in the day to do everything. Come up to these conventions is great because I get a break. Yeah. Like, it's awesome. I get to come hang out, talk with people, and play some games.
I mean,
this is my solace.
Like I told you guys, like I teach a full-time English and journalism professor, and like if my kids are taking a test, I shouldn't be saying this live, but I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
If my kids are taking a test and I have like 20 minutes to myself, I'm like, oh, I'll send a press release to somebody. Yeah. You know, or I'll contact somebody. Like when I was answering, he interviewed me on his site, retrogamebooks.com, and like my students were taking a final, and I had like an hour to myself, and my students were like, what the fuck is he typing? You know, and he sent me questions, and I'm like, boom, 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 boom. And I got through them.
They all failed that final, so you couldn't
I know, yeah. But that's what, I mean, it's hard work, like what we do. It's fun, and it's a passion, but it's crazy. You know, there's not enough time. I go to bed tired every morning, I wake up tired, and I have a daughter that doesn't let me sleep. You know, and I have a wife. So, my daughter's 5 months, so it's like...
Oh yeah, you definitely don't get any sleep yet.
So, and I have a great wife that hates games, but she understands like what I'm doing, so that's good.
See, my wife loves games.
So then you're lucky.
The only 300 something on GTA Online right now on PS4.
The only thing my wife will play with games is like Pac-Man and Parappa the Rapper. That's it.
My wife.
If I hear that fucking song one more time.
Paperboy 2 on Super Nintendo.
Paperboy, my wife probably play with me.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And the thing is, and you have these cool stories, all the people that you've interviewed for your book now that you'll always have.
Oh yeah.
That's a new nostalgia for you.
I tell people all the time, like journalists and writers won't make the most money, but they'll have the coolest fucking stories, like in bars.
Yeah.
Like you'll be sitting down at a bar with somebody, and be like, oh, you know, I interviewed this guy. Well, and people go, what? You know, so
that's why my compendiums exist. Because literally, I went to the Twin Galaxies event. And I met Walter Day, and you meet all these guys that have all these world records and this history and arcades. They all have these awesome stories, and I'm like, so where is that? Do you have that? No.
Nowhere.
And I'm like, all right, so I need to do a history of competitive gaming book. Like I was telling Walter, he's like, oh my God, nobody's really done it from that perspective. And I'm like, so then I'm like, go take it another step. I'm doing a Nintendo book. Let's do everybody's stories on Nintendo, because I've had stories that I heard from my new Nintendo one that I didn't even know were a thing. I didn't even know that they were an experience. Yeah. Super Nintendo, we had a guy tell about when he was in Mortal Monday waiting in line for Mortal Kombat. Wow. And it was like, and his dad gave him the money, and he ended up having to give the money to his brother. And that's Lance Cortez from WrestleWare TV who told that story. Like,
well, it's like the story that I was telling you before.
Boom.
Yeah. The game. Have any of you guys ever played The Fireman for Super Nintendo?
Yes.
It's an awesome game.
Mm-hmm.
So the guy that made that game is doing mountain tours in Canada now. He's not even in the video game industry anymore. And he's an excellent developer.
Oh yeah, that game's awesome.
And he was actually a student in Human Entertainment's software development firm or school, whatever. So he was a student when he made that game.
And that circles back to pro wrestling, because Human did all the Fire Pro Wrestling.
Yep, which are some of the best.
Well, it's just pro wrestling out of it, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we did a whole pro wrestling episode on our podcast, which we called something else.
But again, to go back to what you're saying, nobody knows these stories.
Nobody knows.
And no one asks.
And we need them.
And we need those stories, and then because that's our history that you're living right now. And they're telling their story that they did back in the day, which is going to hopefully be quantified in your book.
Hopefully.
Yes, it will be. It will be. It'll be excellent. And that's the thing, though, is that'll be your style, your thing. That's the cool thing, is you're going to do your aspect, I'm going to do my aspect, you're going to do your aspect, and we're going to have a cohesive picture. Art of Atari, that's another aspect, a whole different mentality. It's awesome.
Everything.
And there definitely is. And the key is if we all help each other out with our experiences and everything, literally everything's going to grow. What time is it right now? How much time we got?
It is 1:12.
Because the next guy who's doing it, he might beat me up if I go too long. No, but seriously though, if everybody helps out each other, and that's why I like putting these on live too, because we have a lot of people that listen to us with the podcast. You listen to it while you're driving and when you're running and posting selfies of yourself. But the key is though, is that if you hear it and you're out there listening, just help out, contact us. Don't ever feel like you can't just reach out to somebody. If you have an idea, there's a way to do it.
Absolutely.
And the YouTube creation community does the same thing.
If it doesn't hurt you to help somebody, you should do it every
Always,
single time.
100% of the time.
This was on Tuesday. I go to there's a retro video game store in Brooklyn that I basically live in. I'm like Norm from Cheers when I walk in there.
Nice.
Brooklyn Video Games, and this guy was in there, and he's like, I know you, and I'm like, I don't know you, and he's like, oh, my name's Carcinogen. This guy does speed runs of the Resident Evil games. So
Really?
he could be like Resident Evil 2 in a half hour. He's insane, And then we were talking about indie games and my book and stuff, and he's like, I need some contacts and stuff, and I just gave them to him. Right away. He's like, I need somebody at Activision. I'm like, boom, here. And he's like, well, what do I have to give you? And I'm like, nothing. And he's like, what? And I'm like, no, it's not like a blood oath or anything like that. If I can help you, it doesn't hurt me to help you. And he was like, but that's what...
But you should do a blood oath. I don't know why you don't do blood oaths.
But you know what I'm saying? If you can help somebody,
if you could always help somebody if you don't, there's no reason not to. You should always do
I'm a
that
firm
reach
believer
out.
in karma. If you're a bastard to somebody, it's going to come back and bite you in the ass.
Well, and the thing is, if you're always stressing on negativity, you're going to feel negative, and you're not going to have that energy and motivation to spend those extra couple hours after you're up all night doing the next thing you need to do for your book.
Yes.
And I'd literally right now, I'm developing all the different formats. Because I got to format all my books, I do all the editing. I'm building the formats and the pages right now for the Super Famicom section when I do the definitive complete Super Nintendo. When I do that, I'm building them all. And they take hundreds of hours just to do the actual formatting. And I'll get them done quickly. I'll be done in a few months. I'm going to have that sucker on Kickstarter. As soon as I get my NES Compendium book shipped out, I'm going to launch that Kickstarter. It's already formatted and ready to go. I already have it. I'm starting to do 3D book pages now. It kind of looks really cool, a little fancy. I've seen other guys do it, so I'm like, let me get a little fancy with this one. But that's the thing, though, is that it'll be ready to launch, and then, because I don't like having a dangling project out there, and then you launch another one. No, it has to be out in everybody's hands that supported me, that took the time to say, hey, I like your vision. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to launch. And the key is, though, is I'm spending hours doing it. And I just started playing the games for the Super Famicom, and I write it as I play it. So when you're watching me live stream, there's going to be a time where I'm sitting there typing up my thoughts. And then I'll go back later and edit it and make it actually make sense. But see, I'm insane. Gotta make it cohesive and coherent at that point.
I mean, I'm sure you guys have been there. It's you're making every second of every day count.
Absolutely.
It's hard sometimes. My book, I was writing on the bus, on the train, and in the bathroom. Any place that if the idea came, it's I started writing it. So I mean, that's the way.
You know what we call that, right?
What?
Passion. You thought I was going to say insane.
Something.
No, it's passion. If you're passionate about something, you'll make the time. And that's the key. So, since we're probably getting close to time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap up. So, where can people find you? Go ahead.
Wow. So, on the internet, so on Twitter at ACR_collection, on Facebook, you can reach out to me as well, and also on my website, so retrogamingbooks.com. Because I love books.
So retrogamingbooks.com. That's a good.
This is because I love those books, and I think we don't have enough of them. We should have more, and this is why also I commend you guys for your books.
Give your name again.
Antoine Claire-Renaud. So there you go.
So I'm Jeffrey Wittenhagen. Everything I have is available at HagensAlleyBooks.com. It's a play on Hogan's Alley. It's my wife's idea. Hagen, last name's Wittenhagen. So HagensAlley.com. And everything's available there. I have a bookstore on the right side. You click it, goes to the Shopify secure website. I have books here. We're doing signatures. He has books, signatures. He will have books.
I'll sign bookmarks right now.
That's all I have
right now.
That's awesome. And then I'm going to be launching mine on Amazon soon, so hopefully it gets a little insane. It probably will. Probably past the point where I can handle it, which that would be luck. Go ahead.
So you can pre-order my book on Amazon, on Barnes & Noble, and on McFarlandBooks.com. The name of the book is The Minds Behind the Games. Also, I'm having a raffle today on Facebook. If you like, and thank you, he's awesome. If you like if you like and share my page, then you'll be put in a raffle to win a copy of Energy Hook, which is on Steam, which is actually a game made by the developer of Spider-Man 2 on PlayStation 2. So if you guys have played Spider-Man 2 on PlayStation 2, it's like the best Spider-Man game ever.
It is an excellent one.
So the same web slinging mechanic that the developer uses in that game, he uses in Energy Hook. It's a really cool game.
Oh, nice.
It's a cool indie game that nobody knows. So after my panel today, a little bit later, I'm going to see who shared and I'm going to pick a winner.
So that might be a hidden gaming gem you could possibly write about in a future re-release of Hidden Gaming Gem.
That's fine. I'm down. I'm down. So that Facebook page is facebook.com/the minds behind the games. So yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you everybody for coming.